And that's a wrap. This camera's so cool, man. It follows my face. Look. See this? Oh, what is this? YouTube tricks. Oh, that's my coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. This is the Vikings Garage. And today I'm going to give you guys my top 5 picks for modifications I've done, and also the 5 that you should, by all means, avoid. My number 1 modification that I have done that you should avoid. Now, some of you are going to be very shocked. This is the reason why I will no longer do any product reviews unless I live with said product for more than 6 months. Ready or not, pedal commander. Yes, I know. I've done 2 videos on this, and I've told you guys that it was totally a thumbs up. It's more like a thumbs down. Please allow me to explain. So, in 2 separate occasions, with this device connected, I had unwanted acceleration. Now let me tell you something. If you've ever been in a car in a situation like that, you know how scary that is. My wife was in the car. I know for sure I wasn't going crazy because she told me, "What are you doing?" And I told her, I am not in control right now. Something's happening with this car. Experienced all sorts of glitches, and not to mention the sensitivity that you change forward is also applied when you go reverse. And when you are in tight quarters, especially trying to park, makes it for a very difficult job. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and say avoid at all means. If you guys do want to correct your throttle response, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys to check out a video that I'm going to leave the link down below, and that is the Pedal Monster. You're going to see why in there the Pedal Monster is actually a better option than the Pedal Commander. There's a very huge difference between the two, and I think that's where the Pedal Commander people drop the ball. I know, controversy right here, but I'm just telling you, my personal experience. Okay, and the first item, in my opinion, that you should by all means invest your money in, and when I say your money, I'm talking about a whopping $15, is your headrest grab handles. Super easy to install. It is so useful, especially for those of you that have raised the car. I'm telling you, my father-in-law gets in the back of my car every so often, and I get a kick out of watching him actually utilize the handle, because it is, after all, something we're lacking back there. But hey, you can totally fix it for 15 bucks. So I give that one. All right, another one to avoid. Magnetic oil drain plug. Guys, this is not a race car. There's absolutely no reason why we should be using a magnetic drain plug on these cars. I bought one because I was curious, and to be honest with you, a lot of the times I'm trying to make content for you guys. And hey, you know what? I take the fall. I think I spent 30 bucks on that drain plug. My bad. If I have to explain why you shouldn't do it, listen, if you're expecting to see chunks of metal on your drain plug, you got bigger problems. There's not supposed to be any metal. This magnet is not supposed to be catching anything. Not to mention, the 2 times I've changed the oil ever since installing that drain plug, it makes for the job difficult because the plug actually gets stuck to the pan, and then you got yourself a mess. So to me, that's thumbs down on that one. Modification that I would highly recommend, 100%. My truck actually came with this from day one, and I'm so happy it did, because I couldn't picture owning this vehicle without them. And that would be the window visors. These things are great, man. Summertime, you can crack open the window a little bit, cool off the inside of the car. You can drive with the windows crack open a little. It doesn't create that much of turbulence. Not to mention, there's absolutely no wind noise whatsoever. So I don't really care which ones you pick. I personally have the AVS ones, but I would definitely invest on those. And I've just done this one. TRD Radiator Cap. Again, this is not a race car. There's absolutely no reason why you guys should be upgrading to something like that. We're not changing the fluid we're using. Guys, there's much better places you can invest your money in than a radiator cap that's performance oriented. This is an off-road vehicle. Yes, a little performance there, but trust me, don't waste your money on that. Not needed. Another one on top of my list is all-weather floor mats. I know you guys are probably saying, man, the modifications that this guy approves of are not that crazy. I'm a pretty simple guy. Listen, I know something good when I see it, and I'm just letting you guys know from the 5 years that I've owned this car, these are, after revising the list so many times, the ones that kept coming up and coming up. So I said, what, you know what? I'm going to pass it on to them. But now, when I say all-weather floor mats, to be honest with you, it's not all of them. I actually, by all means, do approve some of the aftermarket ones. Why? Because they actually contour the insides of your car. And when you have kids like I do, or where you're in a rush and you don't have a lot of time, trust me, you'll thank me later. These things are great. You can pop them out, shake them off, and you're almost ready to go. I, of course, I can get a little finicky with those things. I still vacuum the corners, but I couldn't tell you how much time these things actually save me. Not to mention, if you live in a state like I do with a lot of snow coming in and out of the car, it puddles up in there and it's a lot easier to just pour it out and it will not soak your floor mats. Boy, I'm dropping a lot of TRD names here. Talk about going through the catalog, huh? So the next one might actually shock most of you. Ready? TRD Cat Back Exhaust. Why am I giving this one a big thumbs down? Guys, if you're like me and you've lived most of your ownership with your car in a stock form as far as exhaust, and you go and you upgrade to the TRD exhaust, trust me, you're going to regret you did it. It's very drony, especially for a guy like myself. On my commute, mind you, I spend about 70 miles a day on my car, round trip. The last thing you want to be doing is listening to this drony sound. At 2,000 RPM, around 70 miles an hour, believe me, you can't miss it. It's really hard to ignore, and it gets annoying sometimes. If I could, I would go back to the OEM exhaust. Some of you buy these cars already with this exhaust already in it, so you don't even know what the OEM sounds like. So to you, it's probably not going to be a problem. But if you're a guy out there like I was that's looking to upgrade to performance exhaust, just keep one thing in mind. You're going to have to live with it. You might not like it. That's just me giving you my advice. Me personally, I'm so excited about this. I literally have them in my hands because I want you guys to see it up close and personal what I'm talking about here. So let's start off with your regular key. A lot of you guys recognize this. Of course, unless you got push start, then you know where I'm going with this, but still applies to you. So do stay tuned. Now, what I did is I turned this into that, or I should probably turn it around, right? Now you're probably saying, wow, how did you do that? This, my friends, is an AJT Design Key. They're not cheap, but I got to be honest with you. I love this thing. Every time I grab this thing, I feel it in my hand. It just reminds me of the type of car that I have because, you know, I went as far as modifying my key. I mean, what does that tell you? I just like it. I mean, it's different, you know. It's actually not that hard to do. If you guys are interested, I can actually make a video on this alone because there is a little aspect of making this modification that is super important because if you don't do that, your car won't start. But there you have it, guys. AJT Design Key. When you consider I actually only wasted $15 on it, not that big of a deal. And that is going to be your license plate lights LED assemblies. These were actually purchased through 4Runner.com. And I'm going to tell you right now why I have already removed them completely. Number one, fitment. They just don't fit right. They're way too thick. And if you look here at these images, you can actually see them sticking out on the bottom. I don't know about you, but me personally, last thing I need with this car is fitment issues. I have plenty of those. I don't need any more. And not to mention, if this is even a problem that one can complain about, I personally think they're too bright. I don't need a cop to see my license plates a mile away. You know what I mean? I'm looking for that clean look. So a single LED bulb that you can replace with the regular bulb, to me, is sufficient. This particular upgrade is, in my opinion, a waste of time. My number one modification that I highly recommend to anybody who has gotten a 4Runner 5th generation is going to be the Emblem Black Overlays, most especially the one on the steering wheel. Let me tell you guys, I should have done that from the get-go. I cannot even imagine staring at this symbol chrome to begin with. It changes the look completely of your steering wheel. And it's, again, 15 bucks. You can't go wrong. The exterior emblems, they sell a blacked out overlay kit for that as well, which totally changes the look of the vehicle. And if you're like me, not a big fan of chrome, it's a no-brainer. It's super cool and, most importantly, super easy to install. I'm going to add one honorable mention for each one. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the definitely, guys, definitely, while we're still talking about front ends, skid plate, TRD skid plate. You got to do it. You will not regret that you did that modification. I love it. To me, I cannot picture this truck without this skid plate ever again. It needs to stay this way. Should have been this way from the get-go. Yes, it's probably one of the most expensive modifications on this list, but honestly, save up your money and do it. You will not regret it. Trust me. Of course, we're going to end this with a bang, of course. An honorable mention for the don't. Well, first of all, you probably, don't be a fool like me, shouldn't be shopping around in the middle of the night. I tend to do that a lot. I need to change that. So this particular item was a result of that. What am I talking about? The high back lift springs. So when I did buy them, the description mentioned that they were specific to the TRD Pro. Well, as I'm sure some of you have seen in previous episodes, that is not the case. It's not that I don't like the way they look. The problem is, ever since installing them, the height in my vehicle has never been perfect or to my taste. So yes, those springs to me have brought more problems than anything else. And let's face it, who is going to look underneath there and see that my rear springs match the front ones? Nobody. And for over $200, guys, I can think of so many other things you're better off spending your money on. The springs that come in these cars are sufficient. The TRD Fox Racing suspension that I installed in this car is good as it is. No need, absolutely, to touch those rear springs. Take my word for it. I highly recommend you guys do this modification. You will not regret you did it. If you're like me and you're not a huge fan of the chrome look, then you're definitely going to want to do the OEM LED fog lights for roughly $100 for the set. And as easy as it is to install, it is a no-brainer, guys. It's such a clean look, and honestly, I cannot picture this front end anymore with the fog lights that were there before. You guys have to do this. This will totally transform the front end of your car. Trust me. Not to mention, super important, the visibility is also great. Not that my bulbs that were in there weren't as good, but I like the fact that I actually did a modification that is also OEM. So if it's OEM, you know it's got to be good. Please let me know in the comments down below if you agree with any of these, or better yet, if you have any to add to the do's and don'ts on the modification lists. After all, we're here to help one another, and hey, you know what? I think you can tell from this list that I've been wrong before. So, it is what it is. At least I'm manning up, admitting to it, and passing on the information to you guys so that you don't make the same mistake. But I want to take this opportunity now to thank you for watching the video. If you haven't done so, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one.